Big data. How big big data is today is almost unfathomable. The growth rate of volume is stupendous. More data cross the internet each second today than was stored in the entire internet just 2 decades ago. This tsunami of big data inundates most companies. Even if they can keep up with it, they may not know what to do with it. But those that do break away from the pack excel. Enter SAS. Taking care of employees and holding true to how people should be treated, along with vigilance about remaining a private company, has allowed SAS to invest in its people for the long term. It is no wonder that the founders of Google sought Dr. Goodnight's advice in the early years of building Google's organization. SAS has recently revamped its product line with visual tools and cloud offerings to democratize data and broaden the base of SAS users well beyond its traditional core of SAS-trained data experts. In just a couple of minutes, Dr. Goodnight will be demonstrating their latest in visual analytics. I was given the heads up that this demo is using Ueng data. Very fitting, since we are sitting in what is affectionately often called here at SAS, the Ueng room. This Ueng setup will come in handy for Q&A from you at the conclusion of my fireside chat with Dr. Goodnight following his demo. You simply need to push the button. On behalf of the board of the Harvard Club of Research Triangle, it is our delight to hear tonight from Dr. Goodnight. Well, I have a few questions, and then...
I saw this. I don't like any of them. Could you ask something different?
Well, okay. I'll make up some on the fly. My first employer, Bain & Company, they just recently issued a survey that found that only 4% of companies are really good at analytics. And of this elite 4%, these companies are 2 times as likely to be in the top quartile of financial performance, 3 times more likely to execute decisions well, and 5 times more likely to make decisions faster. So given this is a small number, can you share with us maybe what the best way is for companies to bring in analytics so that this number can become bigger?
Well, you know, it occurs to me that Bain is a management company, and they want to make people think they really need their help. So I would think that's why they put that survey out there. They're not going to say nobody needs us, everybody knows how to do analytics. So I'm not sure it's even a valid question.
Well, I was just interested in, there were several things behind that. I don't have all the details in front of me, but they were talking about areas, tools, various things that companies didn't have on hand. They weren't doing well. So I was interested from the SAS perspective, what things you would recommend so that this could be a higher percentage.
Well, we see the percentage varies from industry to industry.
Okay.
Right now, I think you know, banks have got enormous analytical capability, deciding who gets a loan, whether or not to accept a credit card purchase or not, being able to forecast precisely what their cash flow is going to be over the next 36 months based on the 9 million loans they've got in their portfolio. So they've done a lot of work, and banks have been doing modeling for many, many years. We're seeing, of course, pharmaceuticals have been using data analytics for many years. And we're starting to see more retail organizations interested in it. You know, it makes a huge difference if you've got 1,000 stores around the country to be able to do a size and pack optimization, for example. That's where we look at the past purchase history to determine that this particular store has got more, they sell more small sweaters than they do large. And this one over here sells more larges than they do small. So we can break this up. So it used to be that every store got exactly the same package of sweaters, 2 mediums, 2 large, or whatever. And now by showing them and doing a cluster analysis of all the stores and what they've sold in the past, we can give them a much better idea of what to put in the packs and how many of each they should put in it. Just minor things like that can make millions and millions of dollars difference to a company.
So do you think that given what I was saying earlier about big data, and there's so much talk about it, you start talking about some of these application areas, are there some that you think may be most interesting in the future that you see?
Well, let me preface this by saying that most companies don't have big data. They've got, a large amount of data, but it's not really big
Okay.
data. And I'd say probably only about 5% of the companies that we deal with really have a large enough amount of data to call it big data. Big data is in the news right now because every 2 years, the computer analysts like Gartner and Forrester, they have to change the topic. It was cloud computing up until recently, but they've sold all the consulting they can talking about cloud computing. So they changed it now to big data. I mean, before it was data warehousing, it was software as a service. The words change every few years so people can rush in and sell services. And well, we've always done big data, so it was not anything new to us. But there is a lot.
So you're in vogue now.
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, we were big into analytics, and I mean, analytics is big right now, and we're really a great sweet spot for that. But in the long run, what I would love to see, and it'll probably not be in my lifetime, but to have a huge medical database of everybody's medical history, what drugs they've taken, something that was absolutely secure, that we could guarantee no one could get into, but we could just have programs running continuously looking for side effects. Maybe some drug that's being prescribed is causing people to go deaf or have a heart attack, or maybe some drug, their side effect is something very beneficial. And right now it takes years for these things to surface before people realize that, gosh, taking that arthritis pill is going to cause you problems with your heart. But these things would surface much sooner. Epidemiology work where clusters of cancer or clusters of the flu, or all of that would be made much more evident if we could actually have programs that just constantly churn through the data looking for these type of things.
And you're involved as a sponsor of NC State's Institute of Advanced Analytics, and as I mentioned...
Well, Micah asks for money every once in a while.
And you're also one of the founders of Carey Academy. And I know that you're concerned about the U.S. not producing scientists and engineers fast enough. Could you comment on some of the areas of education that you might have most interest in, some of the trends that you're seeing that concern you or excite you in education?
Well, we have got to find a way to get more of American kids interested in STEM areas, science and math and that sort of thing. Recently, if you look at the graduate numbers of masters and PhDs, 54% are foreign students in there right now that are taking those courses. So my concern is that if we don't get more of our kids interested in STEM, then the innovations of the future are going to occur in China or India or somewhere else in the world where more highly educated technical people are living. Well, now that's fine. We're a global company. We can go over there and hire them. We've got some R&D facilities in China and India. But as a parent that has kids and grandchildren living here in America, I would like America to do well. And we're not going to do well unless we can get our kids more interested in science and math and in the technical fields. And I'm not saying we need all of them. I was asked this question today. I said, I think if we could just get about 10% more kids that are going to college that would be interested in taking STEM courses, that's probably all we need. I mean, we need liberal arts people. I mean, who's going to be lawyers to sue everybody else? That sort of thing.
Okay, great. Well, before I open up to the audience, what are you most proud of and what is still on your list to accomplish?
Oh, I think probably most proud is the fact that we were chosen as the greatest place to work in the U.S. About 2 years ago, we were on that. We were #1 for 2 years, and then Google took back over, so we slipped.
Well, you shouldn't have given them your secrets.
Well, the thing is, you can't be on that list but 2 years in a row as #1. Otherwise, people would quit applying. So I think there's a little gamesmanship going on there with the company that runs the survey. But in 2012, we were named the best multinational employer in the world. So this really makes me proud to know that I've been able to create a place that's known to be a great place to work.
Well, great. Well, thank you. Now I'd like to open it up to the audience to see if you have questions. Okay, go ahead. Here.
Hi, Evelyn. First of all, thank you very much for this intellectual feast in addition to culinary. I'm curious about how you have gone about ensuring that SAS has the sufficient number of very effective leaders that you need, how you've continued to develop your bench, and to make sure that you have a robust pipeline for future leaders.
Well, we do have a program that we've been running for the last few years.
You stated that people make mistakes. What have been some of your lessons learned during your career, either while you were, in school or just once you actually started your business?
Well, I'd say #1 is don't ever buy an airline. I used to own a little airline called Midway. It was a great airline, but we let the CEO sort of run it, and it sort of went back under. That was probably one of my worst mistakes. But you know what? What I say essentially is, and I'm sure you've heard it. It's okay to dig holes, but when they get deep enough, get out. Deep holes are very expensive to continue digging in. Whereas if you can get out of it and start a new smaller hole, it's a lot cheaper. So I've always used that philosophy of, when you're in deep enough on something and it's not going to pay off, get out. Take your losses and quit. Don't worry about it. Don't look back. Well, try not to make the same mistake again.
You cited the retail operation where you got the data on large sweater sales and small sweater sales to make a decision. At some level, you have to make a decision that isn't data-driven, which is that the size of the sweaters is an important factor in that company's future. How do you make those non-statistical decisions about what is important to apply your megadata to?
Well, no matter how we quantify it, your buyers are going to still go out and buy some really ugly stuff sometimes. I was over at Kohl's with one of their vice presidents. We were talking about merchandise planning, and here's this rack of actually there were, I think, like women's tops or T-shirts or whatever. There was, each stack was about that tall until you got to the end. It was that tall, and obviously nobody's buying that one. We can do modeling, we can do forecasting, but still there are some things that you can't really quantify with data. I mean, and if you can't, really one of the best ways to deal with it is to experiment, try different things. I was interested in one of the Google experiments that we were reading about. They copied the M&M's stuff that we do here, and they decided that their people were really getting sort of fat and sloppy, and they wanted to figure out, well, what do we do about M&Ms? And they simply took them out of these clear glass jars and put them in opaque jars that you couldn't see them as well. And it cut down the consumption by about 40%. So I've asked our staff to do the same thing, because we have, in some of our management meetings, we keep talking about, we really ought to get rid of M&Ms. I mean, this is just stupid. For a company that's worried about preventive health and screening for diabetes and cancer and all of that, to continue sticking out these horribly sweet confections for people to eat is stupid. It really is stupid. But if we took them away, people would say, oh, damn, the company's going under. So I'm scared to take them away. So, by God, I love the idea of hiding them, though. We're going to do that.
So have you done it yet? Have you put them in okay?
I've given the order.
Okay, so you haven't seen the 40% drop yet.
Well, no, we'll measure it. Well, we do 2 tons a year of the damn thing.
Okay, so now the Google, you guys are sharing information on the M&Ms. That's good to hear.
All right.
And you're swapping places on the best places to work. That's good.
So I'm interested in your views of CEO succession. I worked for GE for over 30 years and started in the mid-'70s when Reg Jones was the CEO, and subsequently he was succeeded by Jack Welch and then Jeff Immelt after him. And I think the first CEO of GE, when GE was founded in 1892, was a CEO for about as long as you've been CEO. And so I'm just interested in your thoughts on your successor and the process that you might envision using and the kind of person that you would be looking for.
Well, I think Jack Welch did a lot at GE as far as trying to make sure that his HR people were always looking for leaders.